All right, this is I believe it was the second night that they always did it at night. This is not going to be the biggest pursuit that took place, or maybe it was, I don't know. All I know is one night, I literally, thank God I was in pretty good shape because I had to literally run my ass off. I had not done a thing wrong, but I'll get into that. That's going to be called probably how I was attacked, the big pursuit or something like that. You'll know when you hear it. But anyway, so this is the second night that after I knew that that there was a contract on me, basically. Because, random people aren't just going to know what you look like and then want to come kill you and know exactly who you are and all that stuff. Especially when you've done nothing wrong, especially to them, without some kind of intelligence of some sort. Don't get me started on that. Oh my God. Anyway, the second night basically, and it was probably the bigger incident that took place at that particular location. This is the same location that which the two individuals had tried that the night before. Now, keep in mind, the next day after that first night, I ended up going to another place which was not even a 30-second drive from there, and to get a few things. And that was the day that I could have sworn the whole state and/or districts of Washington, D.C., Virginia, Maryland, New York, and a few down south, all the way to here, and I think I even saw one from Florida, seemed like they came down. Because this time it wasn't like, two young guys of a particular ethnic group, so to speak. And this took place in the daytime. This was a complete, all-day, very concentrated. It looked like there were anywhere between maybe 50 and 60, maybe 70, who knows, 80, who knows, the ones that I didn't see, but they were all over the place. These ranged from teenagers to young to mid 20-year-olds and they were guys and girls. Some of them posed as couples. I'm sure those of you who are familiar with your friendly neighborhood false flag events, or what I call, false flag distractions, they're pretty much of all makes and shapes and sizes, right? And they act and pretend that they're couples. And one of the most laughable mistakes one of them made was one couple parked in front of me as I was just sitting in the parking lot over there. Again, where I should have been actually at my home, which should still belong to me. Anyway, they got out of the car, and I knew it was right in front of me. I knew they were who they were. I acted like they were going in shopping, and they had, stupid get-ups on. You could tell it was fake. Tourist hat this, and a whatever big ladies hat that. In other words, they tried way too hard, and they didn't know what my background was or anything, so better for me, right? Anyway, when they came back to the car to get in it to drive off, and they didn't leave the property. That's another thing they didn't, I guess, count on. It was two different people. It was actually two different other individuals. So, maybe they were traveling in a foursome and that's not all they do in a foursome, I'll tell you that. Wait till you hear the convenience store story. Speaking of that subject and what I heard that night, tells you how just freaking perverted they are. Anyway, yeah, so it's always the idiots who try to explain, and that's a big mistake they make. They try to explain to you the situation away. So like they're an expert all of a sudden on people who use other people's cars when they go shopping, and they separate, and two of them drive the car in and two different ones drive the car out. But they really are a foursome, and we could tell because, it's just easy to tell that. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, if they really believe, either whether they really believe that or they really believe that we're going to believe that, they're more stupid than I thought they were, because they're not, all that bright. If they were, they wouldn't need us so much, would they? Every time somebody invents something that's worth inventing, well, all of a sudden, it's because it's always somebody else. It's always an honest person, good person, not one of them that invents it, and then first thing that happens when they learn of it, boom, they show up, they kidnap the person, they steal all their technology, and it's never heard from again. Or it disappears from the patent office, and somebody else already had patent just before you got here, unfortunately. And don't get me started on that segment. I think I entitled "The Creative Mind Farm." You'll hear that when it comes on. But anyway, so this is what happened that day before, the first one. All freaking day long. And I even spoke to a couple of them. Now, when I say they were all over the place, they were even inside the store, were nested, some of them nested inside the office. So if I spoke to anyone, and I mean anyone and everyone, I couldn't open my mouth. If I spoke to a stock boy or a stock girl, I mean, it wasn't a second. It was like maybe less than half a second. As soon as I finished, it'd be like, Joni, please report to the office. Joni, please report to the office. Or Bart, please report to the office. Please report to the office. That was right after I got through talking to him, and I did 5. 5 out of 5, just like that, same timing, urgent like that. I'm sure there's a good explanation for it though, right? There's one more thing about that day before. For the first time, instead of using their usual, single or double trail, chemtrail for the surveillance they were doing, when I was, at my home, this, and I know it sounds, now I would be saying, and I know this sounds kind of nuts, but it seemed like because there was nothing else in the sky, but there was this one big flat, like what seemed to be like chem cloud that was up there. And I didn't know who to try to explain that to, because no one had even heard of chemtrails at that point. This is a long time ago. Well, not long ago, but I mean, it was like, we're talking like 5-6 years ago now. And everything that everybody's experiencing now and having trouble with and that they're attacking now, it's like I was their guinea pig. Like I had been through all of this, everything. Chemtrails to smart meters to this. I mean, I had all those episodes already. We were the only one in our whole neighborhood, our whole subdivisions, our whole collection of subdivisions, our area with a smart meter. That was after I caught them juicing our meter. Anyway, let's get into what, the most important thing about that day after night number 1 was this. When I said there was all kind of, all shapes and sizes, the most significant shapes and size, I guess I should say, was the fact that this is when I saw what I call the suits for the first time under that big Kim cloud. Now, these aren't men in black suits. These are guys that look like they had just come from a decently well office dressed but casual sport, but office dressed, like nice dress pants and a dress shirt tucked in, nice watch, nice hair combed back, like they had just come from the office. Those were like plentiful. And those were the ones that seemed to, well, it's one of the, let's just say a few times that I had seen those DC plates, and just happens to be some of the few times that I saw them. So figure it out. So night number 2, I'm going to go through this real quick here because I may have to do this in 2 parts since I mentioned so much. But what it was in the vehicle I was driving, that I had made kind of a makeshift curtain that went around the inside, because I don't like nobody watching me if I have to sleep in the car for that point. So, and I have to say, as it seems, I know better than that, but as it seems, so they were going to use this curtain against me. They were going to, because they hated that thing. You know, they were, if they could have, they would have stuck something in there and opened it, because it was made very clear. In fact, I think one of the security guards somewhere actually tried to tell me to open it or something because it posed some kind of a threat. It was complete BS. I didn't do that, but that's what made me even more mad. So they were going to turn this around and use it against me, and what they were apparently, after all this planning that happened that night, and they lined up right head on in front of me, about maybe 150 yards down from where I was. Same parking lot, but facing me head on. Those suits and these guys, let me tell you, I'll never look at a black Dodge Charger the same way ever again, because they had lots of them. All black Dodge Chargers. Apparently what they had come up with was they were going to come up and spray the car. Meaning, you know, big time, like, you know, automatic spray, if you know what I mean. Now, why would they do that? Well, remember the police? The famous participating police from that area that I kind of mentioned last segment. Well, this guy has already made his street runs. They usually, before it goes down, they go up and down the street. You know, this is how you read it, to make sure or see who's around or whatever. Then, when they're just about ready to go and make their move, because this is exactly why they're going to do it. If they spray their gunfire, and, you know, the only thing in the car was myself and, you know, my two little chihuahuas, you know, which made me feel really bad. I mean, you know, the fact that they had to be put through that. Everything about these evil freaking just less than less of the least of a byproduct of a human. This is just unbelievable what they did to me. Well, if they come up and spray your car with automatic gunfire and you've got your curtains closed, there's no, especially if you have, now by this time the police is parked up there watching the whole thing. He's parked in the corner of the parking lot and he's watching. So he's going to watch this, you know, if successful, assassination go down. So I'll come back in part 2 of night 2 and let you know what happened. Talk to you soon.